Welcome back, everybody, to the Wham. We are back again, back at it, back in the saddle for another episode as we continue our journey to move from this number 3 spot that we are currently in and change it to the number 1 spot. We don't look at the screen too often, so I wanted to open with this little overview of all the wrestling companies within the world right now. The independent wrestling company that we created to just keep the unemployed guys in America, make them employed, I guess, for lack of a better term. Let's check them out. I did create a road agent for them, David Rhodes. I realized that they didn't have anybody who could do any kind of road agent work for them. So we just created a decent, serviceable road agent. According to the biography that we made for him, he's been working behind the scenes amongst various companies like MMW with Sorley Monaghan, CWB, and QW. All have since been shut down. And this year, he really stepped into the role of officially becoming a road agent. So just a little person within the universe. I wouldn't sign him. His skills are okay, but I just wanted to make sure Goof Wrestling had a serviceable road agent, and if anybody else wants to pick him up, they're free to do so. And looking at their last show, which was held yesterday, Albie Dewberry still standing tall as the Goof Intercontinental Champion, defeating Black Demon. I just love having a company where we could see some familiar faces and see them continue to have a career. It's fun. And I can confirm, actually, I took control of them again when I signed their road agent, David Rhodes. But their product change still is pending, so that will still happen, and I cleared up a few more signings for them to swell up their roster a little bit. But we do have some roster management to do for ourselves. A few episodes ago, we created the team of Bronson Fraley and Neil Allman. They have zero chemistry when teaming together. I asked you guys how you felt about changing their chemistry from awful to zero, or just neutral, I suppose. And that episode just went live and just got the feedback from you guys, so we're going to change their chemistry. We're not going to give them any kind of extra buff, but we are just going to take away the penalty that they currently have right now. So that just shows you the little bit of difference in between when this episode is getting recorded and when they are getting. So that just shows you a little bit of the time difference sometimes from when these episodes get recorded to when they actually get posted. But we are officially improving that chemistry between Bronson Fraley and Neil Allman. And in our only other piece of news that we have to go through before we get into the next event is the fact that Friedrich Herzog is happy here in the Wham. His contract is coming to a close in 30 days. However, the man does not want to re-sign a contract with us. He does not want to continue his tenure here in the Wham, which is really unfortunate. He is a current tag team champion, our most popular guy on the roster. He's our only person with a 50 here in the Mid-South. He's most popular in the Mid-South, so I'm not sure why he doesn't want to re-sign, but maybe he's retiring or something. We'll see what happens with Friedrich Herzog. We'll keep him on the short list, but yeah, really unfortunate. We will be losing Friedrich Herzog. And we are ready to get into the Fortnite Fisticuffs, our next event. We've got a big crowd, 1,320 people here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I accidentally did Albuquerque 2 events in a row, but whatever. It's only actually a difference of a few days anyway. Pre-show match between Burbidia Abeta and Ivy Baldridge to get things going. Nice performances from the ladies. Burbidia with a 35 and Ivy Baldridge with a 32. Nice to see Ivy Baldridge not off of her game, considering she's got awful consistency. Certainly not bad work by these two ladies. Another pre-show match. This is a great match for being on the pre-show, as we had Joel Cartwright, Matu Scarborough going one-on-one in some cross-division action. Matu Scarborough, the heavyweight, coming out on top in this one, and Joel Cartwright, although in loss, got an in-ring performance of 59, Matus with a 54, and a match rating of 56 for these two gentlemen. Final pre-show of the match has got our Oklahoma open-weight champion, Chuck Wellington, in action, though not with the title on the line, considering we are not in Oklahoma. But he just comes in and gets a victory over August Washburn. Nothing special about this one, just getting these boys some work. Chuck Wellington getting back in that mid-30s, which we would like to see. We would like to keep him there. And we get a match rating of 30, nothing crazy as to be expected. However, our show gets going with Sebastian Morales ready to continue his open challenge. This time, a familiar face answers the call, Turner Spittler. Spittler grabs a microphone from the announce table and warns Morales that he is a mere stepping stone to Spittler proving that he should be the one to challenge Neil Allman. As he made his way down, Rahan Marlowe would also appear. Marlowe grabbed the same microphone left on the desk by Turner Spittler and claims that if they're competing for a shot at the title, he deserves to be a part of that match. Big opening segment with some top stars, and we get a triple threat heavyweight match that has a fantastic rating to get the actual show going. Match rating of 60, As Sebastian Morales, Turner Spittler, and Rahan Marlow compete in a triple threat, Rahan Marlow is the one to come out on top, once again just reinforcing his dominance and his impressive showings. And Sebastian Morales, however, though, in-ring performance of 65, great work. Turner Spittler, very formidable with a 55, and Rahan Marlow got a 60. So really good work here, just straight as it is. You know, 3 top guys, 3 hard-hitting, physical heavyweights, turning in one of the best matches that we've seen in the WAM. Now our next match, it is hard to follow that banger of an opener, but we've got 6-person tag team action as the team of Veronica Letter, Super Monkey, and Woodrow Gunter take on the team of Kuni Hashiguchi and Barakui, Kitahachi Kukui, and Diego Berrigan. And in this match, we would see Kuni Hashiguchi pinning Veronica Letter. Another batch of strong performances as Woodrow Gunter got himself a 47, Super Monkey a 51, Veronica Letter 48, Berrigan and Kukui both got 44s, but Kuni Hashiguchi a 53, the best in the match. And more evidence furthering the tension between Kuni Hashiguchi and Veronica Letter, and more evidence that they are true stars in the making in the women's division that hasn't actually launched yet. So it's tough to follow a triple threat opener that we had, but these guys do put in some good work here and give us a match rating of 47. Now our next match, one-on-one, Maxwell Ham and Brian Hatcher. I was just saying this in the last episode, but Brian Hatcher has really redeemed himself and really turned things around. He's putting in good in-ring performances, making the case that he's not just a backstage guy. However, he comes up with a loss here, losing to Maxwell Ham because Maxwell Ham is a great competitor in his own right, probably another star in the making. But all in all, impressive match with Brian Hatcher in there, and we got a match rating of 52. After the match, the great Matsuo celebrates the victory all the way to the curtain. Matsuo contrasts Maxwell Ham's quiet and straight-to-business demeanor, and is heard repeating "All-American" as he makes his exit alongside Ham. So just imagine the loud and flashy great Matsuo managing the quiet, no-nonsense Maxwell Ham. And as Maxwell Ham is coming up the ramp, the great Matsuo is going "All-American, All-American," but Maxwell Ham is Canadian. So just keep that in mind. Segment rating of 45. Another big tag team match, getting us some good ratings as we've got the junior heavyweights in action, as the team of junior heavyweight champion Hermenegildo Ramirez and former junior heavyweight champion RT Lincoln team up to take on Archie Filer and Raul LaBoy. Hermenegildo Ramirez is back, taking the throne of the junior heavyweight division, becoming a 2-time junior heavyweight champion. There would definitely be some tension teaming alongside RT Lincoln, given that they just competed at the last event for the junior heavyweight championship. Archie Filer, of course, really getting back on track after a nasty injury, and Raul LaBoy is a solid worker, and we just want to do whatever we can to raise his popularity right now, maximize his performances. Hermenegildo Ramirez and Archie Filer, no surprises here, 66 in-ring performances for these two. RT Lincoln with a 55, doing some great work, and Raul LaBoy with a 39. But overall, we get a match rating of 58. The junior heavyweights deliver in the junior heavyweight main event. Now, our next match, we continue to set records for ourselves, breaking personal bests as we have Neil Allman and Friedrich Herzog going one-on-one for the WHAM Heavyweight Championship, and Neil Allman defeating the German giant, that is Friedrich Herzog. Truly stupendous match here, as we got a match rating of 69. Very nice. Neil Allman, in-ring performance of 67, Friedrich Herzog with a 68, and in the end, Neil Allman was able to do what he had to do to keep the German giant down. Friedrich Herzog coming up short here, the tag team champion, and it was a little impromptu, but given that Friedrich Herzog is not going to be a part of the WHAM for much longer, I wanted to give him one more heavyweight championship match, and he ended up making us look smart by taking part in the greatest match in WHAM history, despite it only being 6 minutes and 9 seconds. But we also wanted to give Neil Allman that rub, that one-on-one single pinfall victory. He is an elite competitor. Obviously, Bronson Fraley would be pulling some shenanigans, but mostly Neil Allman just takes care of business here and defeats Friedrich Herzog clean. Herzog puts him over. He wasn't stoked about it, but we don't really have to worry about his morale at this point. But thanks to that banger of a main event, I believe this has become the greatest show in WHAM history. However, even with that case, we can only increase our popularity in one region tonight. That's unfortunate. We were broadcasting, so I'm not sure what happened there, but whatever. After the show, we praised Woodrow Gunter, Super Monkey, and Chuck Wellington. We gained $17,000 of profit in the show. I guess we weren't broadcasting. That explains the popularity, but that should be easy to make up for anyway. But we do not move up from 46 in the Mid-South, but we do gain some good popularity. I imagine we will be reaching 47 later this month. We do have a few character ideas, so we're going to address some negative morales. Chuck Wellington, his character specific, he is currently annoyed when we used it, still annoyed after we used it, but he's got some white hot momentum. However, I think that was already the case, but it was worth a shot. However, we've got some non-specific character ideas that we can definitely still use. Safe bet on Blue Mage. It was a success. He moved up his momentum, but he's still irritated. Let's try another one. Fingers crossed. It was a success. Okay, he's got normal morale, but still cooled momentum. So with Blue Mage now, no longer with negative morale, that continues to shorten the list of names with negative morale. I told you guys once we managed the morale situation, we would focus on establishing the women's division. I've been teasing it for a long time, probably close to a year in game time now at this point. We are going to make some additions to the women's division, and they're not going to be additions that we're just going to end up having to dump off shortly after, I hope anyway. We've done some scouting, we've made sure everyone will not contribute to the backstage morale negatively, and we've got a net of a few good ladies that I think have some potential and can service us positively. The first being Talia Rayleigh, a Canadian female wrestler. Her standout spot is this 72 technical stat. Everything else is just kind of okay, but her fundamentals are actually pretty decent. She doesn't have anything that's going to totally weigh her down, like consistency or safety or stamina or anything like that. She's pretty well off there. So we're going to make the first contract offer to Talia Rayleigh. We're going to give all these ladies a single year contract. Hopefully, there's a good number of them that are not in America, so hopefully they move over. The next Canadian personality, Rhea Quarry. She's got a quiet personality type. She doesn't have as good of stats as Talia Rayleigh does. She'll be kind of borderline lower tier. We're really going to see how she fits in up against Ivy Baldridge, Burbidia Beta, that kind of thing. They are basically the standard bearer for a competent women's competitor, I think, at this point. But she's young. They're all going to progress, and I think she might just turn into something decent. We're going to give her that 1 year contract, and hopefully we hear back with some good news from her. Mariana Calvo is our next one. She's got a free spirit personality, not the most positive, but certainly not a detriment by any means. Good brawling stats, that's going to peak over 70 after some development. Good enough fundamentals, not anything that's going to wow you, but she's got some solid performance stats, might make for a good manager as well. We're going to bring her on for a single year. Another Mexican wrestler, Sheila Velasco. Almost all of them we had to talk to and get them to come work in America. It wasn't difficult, but it's something worth mentioning. Sheila Velasco, again, not great fundamentals, but she has got the quiet personality type. She's got some okay brawling stats. Another just okay competitor, but if we're going to take the women's division seriously, we do need to fill it out a little bit. And the final woman that we're going to bring in right now, Super Rabbit. You gotta love the gimmicky characters. She is very new to the database, but her fundamentals are really good. 70 basics, good stamina. She's got some flashiness, some aerial ability. Everything else is pretty weak. Serviceable performance stats. So she's going to be another one where we just see where she fits in and if she does fit in. But we're going to offer a 1 year contract, and that is going to do it for the ladies that we send contracts to at this point in time. All of the ladies did end up accepting their contracts, so we're all good there. And another small piece of news that I see, Neil Allman is not only our WHAM Heavyweight Champion, but he's also the CSW Universal Champion. He just won that 6 days ago. So CSW sees the gem that we've got as Neil Allman ironically continues his story of being mercilessly against anyone who doesn't work for, or who has worked for other companies. So a little hypocritical, but we're not acknowledging. And funny enough, just perusing the world and everything, I stumbled across Emilio Suarez. He's been on our shortlist, of course, and he's ready to negotiate again with us. That doesn't mean we're doing it right now, but He clearly wasn't that mad. I don't know if I'm gonna do that to my boy Diego Bergen. But with Friedrich Herzog leaving, we will be needing another road agent. He's a good road agent, even if we don't use him in the ring, which I don't have any reason why I wouldn't use him in the ring. However, it's just something interesting of note. Another piece of interesting news, David Rhodes, the man we were just talking about a little while ago, the road agent, also has been hired by SPW and FNP since getting hired by Goof Wrestling. So this man quickly found work. Clearly the universe needs more road agents. And if I see an issue, if I ever notice that a company doesn't have a specific road agent, we'll just create one for them. However, we are getting really close to the point where a lot of the original wrestlers are getting up in age and they're going to be retiring fairly soon, and the ones that were active enough are probably good enough to be road agents now, or very soon, that is. So that'll be another thing that we just keep our eye on. I know there are a few gimmicks that are going stale. We tweak the gimmicks every now and then whenever we see those penalties come up. However, Joel Cartwright, it's been getting stale, it's been stale for a while, and we're just going to change his gimmick up to a fiery competitor gimmick. Pretty standard, pretty generic, but he's currently a Patriot gimmick, and we're gonna roll with the fiery competitor. Craig Bean was also another one who had a gimmick that was getting stale, but his gimmick is still rated as legendary, so I'm just gonna tweak it as need be if it continues to show as stale, and we'll keep tabs on that. We're about to get into the next show, and I am going through the pre-show, shenanigans. I noticed the hardline stance is back up. That means our morale has dipped down to 4 again. So we're going to use it. I don't know who dipped or what happened, but we're going to go for it, and we're not going to tolerate some Debbie Downers, and hopefully nobody walks out. Nobody chose to walk out, and we're grateful for that, and we're ready to get booking. So I just popped over here. Nothing major caused the locker room to dip. It was just the amount of pre-show incidents that we had, people just getting into trouble. Fortunately, our hardline stance did rectify that, so we're back to average. Our show will not be penalized. However, we are right back into it, ready to go with another edition of the Fortnite Fisticuffs, a big edition, as we get ready for the amazing grappling spectacle. We've got some pre-show matches, of course, tag team action between Brian Hatcher and Jeremy Funderburk going up against the team of Barakui. We see some encouraging performances, specifically from Jeremy Funderburk as he got a 32. While that isn't great, that is serious improvement for him, and he's not even off of his game. Brian Hatcher got a 37, Kitahachi Kikui with a 45, and Diego Bergen with a 43. Barakui comes away with the victory as they got a match rating of 41. Now our next and final pre-show match has got the ladies, the newly signed female competitors, getting into the ring for the first time to see how their gimmicks get received, see what they can do in the ring, and also see if they're rusty. Taking a look at the notes, Rhea Quarry was actually the only one who was rusty, and she got an in-ring performance of 14. However, the good, Talia Rayleigh and Mariana Calvo got 30s. The not as good, Sheila Velasco with a 22, Super Rabbit with a 20, Sloan Knutson with a 20, we kind of know who she is. But Rhea Quarry with a 14, still a little indeterminate a little bit as we need her to get unrusty and knock that off. However, the ones to watch out of this match specifically, Mariana Calvo and Talia Rayleigh. Now the show is ready to get started, and we've got Neil Allman and Bronson Fraley opening the show with a celebration following Allman's successful title defense at the last event. The obnoxious heavyweights eat up the crowd reception, which at this point has become rather mixed. Friedrich Herzog would interrupt the event, claiming Neil Allman is a fraud of a champion. Allman would retort, claiming Herzog and Lilia wouldn't be holding their tag titles if they weren't bailed out. Herzog then felt challenged and would offer to put the tag team titles on the line in return for another shot at the heavyweight championship. Neil Allman would accept this proposal, but stated their title matches would have to wait for a proper stage. So getting the show started with a really strong angle, segment rating of 55 as Neil Allman does his thing. Moses Lilia is actually surprisingly really good in the performance category. Friedrich Herzog ain't bad, and neither is Bronson Fraley. Our first match of the night has got Craig Bean and Maxwell Ham going one-on-one. Maxwell Ham, not a ton of story behind the in-ring action here, but Maxwell Ham just picks up a victory over Craig Bean. We get a match rating of 50, Maxwell Ham with an in-ring performance of 53, which is great, Craig Bean with a 38, not bad. However, after the match, the Dark Carnival grabbed the Great Matsuo. Blue Mage obstructed Maxwell Ham from intervening as Craig Bean and Brian Hines made their way to the back with the great Matsuo. And that is Bryant Hines, not Brian Hines. I misspelled that. But the Dark Carnival continuing with their dark shenanigans, carrying and kidnapping the great Matsuo, Blue Mage keeping Maxwell Ham at bay, preventing him from doing anything to, save the great Matsuo, and Bryant Hines and Craig Bean get away with Maxwell Ham's manager. Segment rating of 31. We've got tag team action up next as the Wellington Dynasty, Chuck and Duke, back in tag team action against Super Monkey and Woodrow Gunter. As you might imagine, Super Monkey and Woodrow Gunter do in fact pick up the victory here. However, we do get a nice match rating of 43, Duke Wellington with a 30, Chuck Wellington with a 33, Woodrow Gunter with a 46, and Super Monkey with a 49. Of course, this show not in Oklahoma, so no opportunity for an Oklahoma Openweight Championship match. As the champion, Chuck Wellington, he takes a loss here, but his title is intact. Super Monkey and Woodrow Gunter look good in the process. Now after the match, Woodrow Gunter grabs a microphone. Gunter claims that he knows the Halloween edition of the Amazing Grappling Spectacle will in fact be in Oklahoma, and lays an official challenge to Chuck for the title, urging him to man up and act like a real champion. This comment fires up Chuck Wellington, who accepts Gunter's challenge. So you can book it now. In 13 days, a special Halloween edition of the Amazing Grappling Spectacle will take place, and we will see Chuck Wellington going one-on-one with Woodrow Gunter for the Oklahoma Openweight Championship. Segment rating of 42 if I didn't already say it. Now we've got a big tag team match with some big heavyweights. Big ratings, big performances, big all around. But we do see Turner Spittler and Matu Scarborough coming out on top over Rahan Marlowe and Sebastian Morales. This is a big victory for these boys. We do get a bonus that Rahan Marlowe and Sebastian Morales showed excellent chemistry when teaming together, but Turner Spittler and Matu Scarborough are just able to squeak out a victory, using not the most noble of tactics, a little bit of underhanded tactics, however, nothing super notable, no specific finish or anything like that. They just get the job done. They defeat Rahan Marlowe and Sebastian Morales 2-on-2 in a big statement, and Turner Spittler is the one who scores the pinfall, pinning Sebastian Morales, so it just makes you wonder what's going to happen. These guys, 3 of these 4 guys were in a triple threat match last event. Rahan Marlowe came out of that one, now he's taking a loss. Match rating of 60. It's going to be hard to follow that, but we do have Hermenegildo Ramirez making his way ringside to spectate the next match. He notions for a microphone, and states that while he will never overlook an opponent, this match truly is a waste of time, given the inevitable successful title defense that will follow. Segment rating of 51, you love to see that with Hermenegildo. But we've got a number 1 contenders match for the Junior Heavyweight Championship. RT Lincoln, Joe Cartwright, Archie Filer, and Raw LaBoy all going at it. And we would see Joe Cartwright, the one to come out on top, earning himself a shot at the Junior Heavyweight Championship here at the next event, defeating some really big names. Of course, Archie Filer did his thing, 61 in-ring performance. Joe Cartwright, not a slouch, 57. RT Lincoln was a champion for a reason, 53. Raw LaBoy, 39, he needs to improve a little bit. But we do see Joe Cartwright etching himself into the card at the next event and competing for the Junior Heavyweight Championship. However, you do see this note that it has Hermenegildo Ramirez distracting Archie Filer. Now, we're picking right back up from where we left off with Hermenegildo Ramirez and Archie Filer. These two know one another, can put it down in the ring. It's game recognizes game a little bit. Hermenegildo Ramirez, if he's got the choice, he probably wouldn't choose to face Archie Filer because he is the greatest threat to his championship right now. Hermenegildo Ramirez just providing enough of a distraction, keeping Archie Filer one eye on the champ who is not a part of the match and one eye on the match. So that ends up costing Archie Filer. He doesn't end up getting pinned or anything like that. There was no physical specific confrontation, but he's just got to keep his eye on the prize a little bit. You haven't gotten the title match yet, so you shouldn't be looking at the champion in that way, if you know what I'm saying. But overall, great match. Match rating of 59. Joe Cartwright does his thing and gets a title match. And he also changes his gimmick in the process, and he received an initial rating of very good on his fiery competitor gimmick. You love to see the successful gimmick changes. Now with that all said and done, we get a show rating of 57 thanks to some really good matches, a great tag team match with the heavyweights, and a great 4-way match with the junior heavyweights supported by some good matches. We had Super Monkey and Woodrow Gunter in a good match, really lifting the Wellington boys. Maxwell Hammond, Craig Bean put on a 50, and of course Neil Allman doing his thing at the beginning of the show. And we praise Chuck Wellington, Super Monkey, and Woodrow Gunter after the show, all getting tangible, positive interactions, helping their morale. Even while broadcasting, we profit $11,370. We are in a good spot financially, that's for sure. As expected, we do go from 46 to 47 in the Mid-South, gaining popularity in the Midwest, Southeast, and Southwest as well. And some internal Wham news, we've got Matu Scarborough and Burbidia Abeta now dating. That will be a boost to the locker room morale, unless they break up, which will then become a negative. Now we've got a big roster right now, but I'm going to make one more addition. Porter Greeley, he's from Canada, but we're signing him for his performance abilities. He's going to be a manager, more or less. 93 charisma, 93 microphone, 91 acting. I don't need him to compete in the ring. He's not really going to do much for us anyway, but I've got a plan to utilize his stupendous speaking abilities. And he accepts his contract, but I'll tell you right now, this is the last time that you see Porter Greeley with this face in the Wham. It might sound weird, but just wait for it. And some more news around the world. Super Rabbit has decided to relocate into the Mid-South from Mexico, so we're no longer paying for her travel. But also Goof Wrestling, this was not me, this was AI. They released Black Demon, Randy Edson, and Roger Stagg. I wonder who else they released. Let's see here. They released 13 people. What in the world happened over there? Gabriela Suarez was removed off of the booking team. That's a bad decision for them. I'll tell you right now, she's got a booking skill of like 90. But anyway, Frankie Ashby, Fritz Hattendorf, Lane Starr, Black Demon, Randy Edson, Moses Stowe, who was getting a lot of work with him, Charles Chris, Super Shield also was getting good work, Rick Fulcher, Roger Stagg, Gregory Haywood. So they just released a bunch of people. I wonder if their roster was just too big, the AI didn't like it, and they decided to cut those guys. I don't know if those would have been the guys that I would have cut. Maybe they didn't like their attitudes and personalities. Who knows? I'm really confused though why they took Gabriela Suarez off the booking team. That one just doesn't make sense. If you look at their last show, Albie Dewberry defeated Moses Stowe in the main event. That was one of the guys that they just released. They got a 22 rating. Things are looking all right. They're getting better over there. Started with a 16. That's unfortunate. I was really hoping that they would keep those guys and just let them get some work. Roger Stagg is just one of those guys that's been around for a long time and been around various companies. I'd like to see some of these guys get their experience up a little bit higher, but whatever, it doesn't really affect us. And in some bad news for SPW, they were fined $25,000 as the result of their repeated cancellations during their broadcasting contract with a radio station in Mexico. They've got plenty of money, they're not really worried about it, but it is worth noting that their shows have tangibly gotten worse after Jake Letter left. And now they're putting up 57s, 58s, they were putting up 60s fairly consistently if I'm not mistaken. 53, I think Jay Letter was still there during that one, so I can't say anything about that, but SPW seems to be not as untouchable and invincible as they were. Looking at their progress here of their popularity, they've been at 55 popularity in the Southeast since April of this year, so going on 8 months. Their popularity in the Mid-South dropped from 49 to 21 in that same time, from 27 to 10 in the Southwest, 28 to 8 in the Tri-State, 33 to 10 in the Midwest, so big fall off for SPW with their broadcasting troubles. However, I am happy to announce that we have made it to the Amazing Grappling Spectacle 89, and we've got another big show here on Halloween in 1932, and we're ready to get things going. We got a few pre-show matches, the first being a 3-team tag team match, as we've got Rhea Quarry and Raul LaBoy, Super Rabbit and Super Monkey, and Sheila Velasco and Kamari Flanders, and we actually got a really nice match rating out of this, all things considered. Super Monkey really carried the match, just looking great out there with an in-ring performance of 60. Raul LaBoy did a good job for himself at a 45. Kamari Flanders, not terrible given the state that he is on the roster, with a 34. However, as far as the ladies go, Rhea Quarry still rusty, but she got a 20, Super Rabbit with a 26, and Sheila Velasco with a 23. We're going to continue to get these new ladies some work. We want to see what kind of competitors they really are, build them up some popularity, and see where we can go from there. Of course, we've got some mainstays. Veronica Letter, Kuni Hashiguchi, and Birbidia Abeta kind of on the outside of that as well. But all in all, really good performances. Another pre-show match, triple threat junior heavyweight action, as we got Archie Filer defeating RT Lincoln and Jeremy Funderburk in a triple threat match. Archie Filer off of his game but still getting a 59, RT Lincoln with a 56, and Jeremy Funderburk with a 34. Match rating of 49 here, and so far our pre-show matches are hitting. The final pre-show match of the night has got the team of Barakui teaming up against Joe Bryant and Brian Hatcher. Unfortunately, Bryant and Hatcher just don't work together as a team. However, we still got a match rating of 40 here. 47s for Kukui and Berrigan, 24 for Joe Bryant, and 38 for Brian Hatcher. Now our show gets going. We've got tag team championships on the line as Friedrich Herzog and Moses Lilia defend their titles unsuccessfully against Neil Allman and Bronson Fraley. Neil Allman and Friedrich Herzog got in-ring performances of 68. They work very well together. Bronson Fraley with a 53 and Moses Lilia with a 45. Very good for the newcomer. But the whole premise of this show being set up is that Friedrich Herzog and Moses Lilia put their tag titles on the line, and then later in the night, Neil Allman puts his heavyweight championship on the line once more. And to start things off, we've got new tag team champions. We continue to go with that two-man power trip kind of thing. Bronson Fraley just needs the open weight championship now, and then we will have both of these guys with all the males championships that they can compete for. We don't know if that's going to happen or not, but we do know that Neil Allman, the heavyweight champion, becomes tag team champion alongside Bronson Fraley after they defeat Friedrich Herzog and Moses Lilia. So great stuff here. Match rating is 61 to get us going. And then we get an even better angle afterwards. The new champions celebrate their achievement, soaking up the fan adulation after a hard-hitting match. Despite the kind of wishy-washy response, the fans can appreciate a good match, and that's what they saw. The Wham OGs made their way back to the curtain with haste, and Neil Allman grabs a microphone off of the announcer desk and states that since there's nothing left to prove, there is no reason for Allman to give Herzog a title shot tonight. Blowing off his part of the agreement, the two state that they are going to make their leave from the event. So Friedrich Herzog will not get his heavyweight championship after all. Neil Allman basically saying, you're not worth the time, you lost the tag team title match, I beat you in the last event for the heavyweight championship, and we're not running it back. And Neil Allman and Bronson Fraley, they do in fact leave the arena and dip out, never to be seen again, at least for tonight. But what that does mean is that Friedrich Herzog has just competed in his last match with the Wham, unless things change. I don't know if they will. He was really going out with some fantastic performances. However, the Wham is going to be just fine, and we're going to be able to create a new star, and that's why we're giving Neil Allman so much attention right now as well. But moving on, we've got the ladies turning in a nice match. Match rating of 40 as Veronica Letter defeated Mariana Calvo. Good work here, it's encouraging to see two ladies give a match rating of 40 like this. Mariana Calvo is probably going to be one of the better additions that we just made to the women's division, and we already know who Veronica Letter is. Veronica Letter is great. She's ready to go, and she gets a win here. Although after the match, Veronica Letter would speak. She expresses her excitement for the dawning of the women's wrestling here in Wham. Veronica would go on to announce a special tournament will be held throughout the final 2 months of 1932 to determine the first ever Wham's Women Champion. Segment rating of 51 as we give Veronica Letter the chance to just speak a little bit. She did improvise, she didn't have to go with the script, and she didn't get penalized for it, so that's good. And we'll get into it more in the next episode, but there will be, it's not the Derby. It will be a tournament, but not in that same single elimination format. So the ladies will be cooking up their own stuff, and that will be something to watch as we close out the year. We've got 2 months to crown a women's champion. Now in our next match, the Oklahoma Openweight Championship is on the line as Woodrow Gunter and Chuck Wellington compete into a draw. Yes, you do see that right. A 10-minute time limit was reached, and the match was considered a draw. Woodrow Gunter was not aware of this time limit set in place, and Chuck Wellington was well aware of this time limit set in place. You could see the match was designed to tell a specific story, and they would really emphasize Chuck Wellington just doing whatever he can to hang on. You know, Woodrow Gunter is a main event level competitor, or at least he was. Yeah, I don't know if he is anymore, given the elevation of the main event and him kind of not elevating, but I'm getting distracted. Woodrow Gunter's a really good competitor, really fierce, and Chuck Wellington, despite getting a bit better, he even knew that it was going to be a tall task to take him down and actually come out with a victory. So he was just doing whatever he could to create separation, give himself some time, really slow plodding offense. And when he was acting defensively, he'd be like grabbing the rope so Woodrow Gunter couldn't rip him away or anything, kind of self-imposing some rope breaks and everything like that. Despite all the shenanigans, Chuck Wellington does in fact walk out still the Oklahoma Openweight champion. Match rating of 41, we actually got better ratings than I thought we would given the ending and Chuck Wellington being in the match. Woodrow Gunter got a 45, Chuck got a 32, and the title was on the line, but the champion ends up retaining. Now in our next match, we didn't have a segment for the last match, the last little ending, but I don't think it needed it. We've got a handicap match with Maxwell Ham confronting the Dark Carnival in attempts to get the Great Matsuo back. And Maxwell Ham put up a phenomenal effort. In-ring performance of 60 really gave these guys a run for their money. However, Blue Mage and Craig Bean are not pushovers. They take care of business in this match, defeating Maxwell Ham 1-on-2 and just overwhelming Maxwell Ham over the course of the match. Craig Bean with a 47, Blue Mage with a 52, we already mentioned Maxwell Ham's excellent 60, and altogether we get a match rating of 50 for these guys. However, as the Dark Carnival celebrated their victory, the lights went dark. The crowd went silent, as nobody was aware of what was happening. The lights returned, and Black Bull had returned as well. Standing in the ring, Black Bull unleashed fury on his former allies, beating down Blue Mage and Craig Bean. Bryant Hines attempted to get away but was blocked by Gary G. Emick, who seemed to be directing Black Bull through the chaos. All of the commotion would allow Maxwell Ham to untie the Great Matsuo. However, Black Bull made the Dark Carnival pay for their betrayal, brutalizing those he considered as brothers. So Black Bull is back. If you genuinely thought I was going to release him, shame on you. We played that game, we teased it, but Black Bull, he actually just got some time off. That brother needed to rest, some injuries, get back in his form, and he returns to the Wham in a big way, rocking an older look. He's separated himself from that Dark Carnival image that we gave him, and we gave him a different, it's not the original picture that he had, but this is Black Bull Phase 3 basically. And he's still got the same kind of mask that he's always had, and now he is just relentless, shows no mercy to anybody kind of thing. And he's got his ringleader, Gary G. Emick. That was Porter Greeley that we just signed and everything. We changed his name, changed his picture, and now he's Gary G. Emick, who I'm going to end up calling Gary Gimmick after a while. However, Black Bull comes back in a big way, beating down the Dark Carnival, and I didn't type it out as much as I should have, but I really want to emphasize, Black Bull beat the shit out of these boys. He was ruthless in this encounter. Fast-paced, energetic, full of aggression, and we get a segment rating of 46 for it. Big four-way match between some heavyweights that were just competing in a tag team match not too long ago. I'm happy to say that all four of these guys got in-ring performances over 60. That is fantastic, especially with Matu Scarborough being so young. But Sebastian Morales, Rahan Marlowe, Turner Spittler, and Matu Scarborough throwing down in efforts to establish who should be the next one to challenge for the Wham Heavyweight Championship. And Sebastian Morales walks out of this one with a victory, and we've had a bunch of different amalgamations of Morales, Marlowe, and Spittler all kind of dealing with one another. Marlowe and Scarborough have even been dealing with each other in certain fashions and everything, and they've all been connected. And through all of this intertwining, Morales has come out with a victory as he did here. Rahan Marlowe came out with a victory. Turner Spittler in the tag team match pinned Sebastian Morales. So it's just a whole big web of stuff of guys getting victories over one another and really vying for that number one contendership. It's a very competitive race in that regard. But huge match with fantastic performances. Really satisfying. This is our heavyweight main event of the night. We still got another match to go. but these boys close it out for the division. And the actual main event of the night, as well as junior heavyweight main event of the night, we've got Joe Cartwright and Hermenegildo Ramirez in another banger. Hermenegildo Ramirez, in-ring performance of 70. My goodness, this man's a beast. Joe Cartwright with a 62. Granted, keep in mind, we did inspire the locker room, so everyone got a little boost. This is a little out of character, and it came in a good way because these numbers are great. 15.5-minute match. These boys just went at it, and it was a great match. We wanted them to steal the show. It was a little long for their psychology constraints, but that didn't stop them from delivering something special. We got a match rating of 66. I think our best match rating ever is a 67, so right up in that upper echelon of elite. Joe Cartwright with an in-ring performance of 62, Ramirez with 70. I already said that, but I'm just so dang excited with results. But Hermenegildo Ramirez handles business, makes defense number 1 during his second reign as WHAM Junior Heavyweight Champion. Huge night all around. Overall rating of 63, growing our popularity, of course. Not a single segment under 40, including the pre-show matches, including Chuck Wellington's match. Really good stuff. So we praised Rahan Marlowe, Woodrow Gunter, and Jeremy Funderburk after the show, profiting $16,000, over $20,000 in ticket sales. I don't think our monthly event has a higher ticket price. It might. That could be the reason for our difference in attendance, but either way, we're making really good money. And the Mid-South stays at 47, but we do tick up in every other region. Midwest 26, Southeast 21, and 22 in the Southwest. And it didn't take long before Gary Gimmick got himself some more employment, as he is now working with Viva La Lucha as well. But let's just take another look here. We changed him up. You can see, like I mentioned when I signed him, he's going to be a manager. Just phenomenal, exceptional performance skills, and he's going to help Black Bull reach the top. So as we prepare for Friedrich Herzog to take his leave, he's just got a couple days left in his contract. I guess we get him for one more show. I thought yesterday's event was going to be his last show, but we do get one more event with him. I'm not sure if I'm going to use him as a wrestler. Just looking at these names in the entire world, mind you, my only search criteria is that they had 55 experience and psychology. Everybody here, to the exception of Emilio Suarez, is working with SPW. I already poached Jay Lutter. I'm not going to poach another one of their guys. So we have to decide if El Espiritu Emilio Suarez is going to be worth bringing back in. It's going to make Diego Berrigan very angry. So I'm a little hesitant to do so unless we get rid of Diego Berrigan, which isn't really something I'm trying to do either. However, I then changed my search requirements from 55 on psychology and experience to 40. And obviously you can see we've got a lot more options here. However, there's not a ton that's standing out to me, and pretty much everyone is in a different continent. There's not really anybody in America who can step in and do anything close to what I'm looking for. If they do go into a road agent position, they're immediately going to get penalized like crazy, and as you can see, just about everyone who is a possible candidate just has a bad personality anyway. We do have Rahan Marlowe as an option though. 66 psychology, 51 experience, a pretty good option for what we've got available. And there's also Saita Kuroki, who has since retired from in-ring competition, but he's been a road agent for a few years. He's got 54 psychology and 41 experience. Definitely would be getting us penalized, and I don't want to pay for his travel. Although it would be fun to bring him in, just for the name value. Sebastian Morales, 59 psychology, 46 experience. Steven Vecchio, 56 psychology, 42 experience. I already said I wouldn't take from SPW, so he's not an option. Turner Spittler, 69 psychology, 47 experience. He might be an option. He's got that's pretty darn good psychology. Walter Danzig, who was a big part of POG for a very long time, who seems to be unemployed nowadays. Let's talk to him. He is now active in America. I don't know if I'm necessarily going to bring him in, but he does have 50 psychology, 51 experience. So I don't know if I'm necessarily have that much interest, but he is an option. And then Woodrow Gunter, who has basically been our fill-in road agent, 64 psychology and 49 experience. So not a ton of options. We do also have Kunihashi Gucci, who has got 71 psychology but only 32 experience, so that doesn't help her. But decisions will have to be made, and you are going to be all aware of those decisions that get made as long as you tune into the next episode, because that's going to do it for us here. Thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate you so much, and I'll catch you in the next video. Take it easy.